Hi, and welcome to another exciting edition of Dream Talks. I am super excited to bring you Dream Talks Family Edition. We've never done a Dream Talk like this before. I have my dear friend with me, Joey Alexander, and her daughter, Chelsea, and they have an amazing story that we want to share with you today. Hi, Joey.
Hi, John.
Hi,
Thank you for having
Chelsea.
us.
Hi,
How you doing?
doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Good. We're in three different places, three different locations, so that's why you're hearing the the delay a little bit. But so your mom is with us. Joey, you're with us as part of our spiritual intelligence. You went through the spiritual intelligence mentorship. You've pretty much been with us since we started talking dreams on YouTube, right?
Yes. Yep.
How did you first hear about us?
Funny enough, I was coming back from a fall softball game in Stillwater and was listening to Amanda's Grace, Windows Through the Supernatural, and heard you speaking and was like, wow, that's really interesting. And then really just searched in everything I could find, every interview that you had done, I'd listened to. I was just really pulled to the whole dream thing. And then funny enough, I was listening to, who's that guy that was with Dave? The other guy that's not there anymore. Yeah. He was mentioning that how much time and effort and work was going to be involved with that with Sim. And I was like, oh, I don't have time to do that. So, cause we were going through the dreams through the Bible, and you were opening up the first Sim registration. I was like, I don't have time to do that. It sounded really fun, but I don't have time. And we went to a game in Austin, Texas, and I had a dream, and I woke up, and the whole dream pointed to the fact that I had told God, send me and I'll go. And then I was backing out and broke my heart. And I said, okay, the next registration that opens, I will sign up. And here we are.
Wow. I don't know if I knew that.
I don't know if you knew that either.
So you were in SIM. By the way, we include the information for people who want to know what spiritual intelligence mentorship is. Just look it up on the website. It's all there. But so you basically got involved in the spiritual intelligence mentorship because of a dream.
Yes.
That's crazy. I did not know that. That's interesting. Do you remember the dream?
Yes. So there was two parts to the dream. In the first part, Chelsea was she had gone for a hitting lesson with her coach, and her coach didn't show up, but the head coach for OU, Patty Gasso, was there. And she went ahead and took a hitting lesson from Patty. And then it switched scenes, and Chelsea and she was this is really funny. She was in a sim group, like a simulation game. And she had told me that there was she was filling out a questionnaire, and one of the questions was, have you had a baby? And she said, yes. And I said, no, it's just talking about in the game. And she said, no, in real life, I've had a baby. And it kind of freaked me out. And I was like, you didn't tell me you had a baby? And so
I'm your mother. How did I not know this?
Exactly. So I woke up, and the interpretation came immediately to me. And it was that Chelsea represented me, and I was the father, and I had betrayed him. And it just it's all about the betrayal. And so, yeah. And then looking back, she was in a sim game, which is kind of funny. But so that's how that came about.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. That's kind of an awkward dream. It's one of those ones you wake up and you're glad to find out that it wasn't real.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's a secret I could pull off.
Good luck with that. It's been done, but pull it off. So you're kind of a celebrity, Chelsea.
Hardly.
I've seen you on ESPN.
See a lot of people on ESPN, though.
So tell us about your distinguished figure skating career.
Hey, if I was that talented, props to them. I don't know. I just hit a ball and run fast, so catch it when it comes to me.
You
Um,
stole home this last weekend, didn't you?
I did. I did. I mean, yeah, little things like that. That's what I love to do. So I love playing the game. Obviously, as pictures have showed, I'm a student athlete. I play softball at Oklahoma State University. I'm a fifth-year senior. I play outfield. I bat not for power. I'm more of a speed kid. So, like you said, I always looking to score, and I happened to get an opportunity to steal home on Kansas in the Big 12 tournament. So, saw an opportunity and took it. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's winding down to the last few days here. We got about, hopefully, if God allows, 3 weeks left of my softball career. So, just trying to enjoy the moment and
Wow.
have fun.
Wow. 3 weeks left of your softball career. That's what a moment you're in, though. So where are you guys at in the standings?
So the bracket for postseason just came out on Sunday. It was our selection show, and we came out as the seventh overall seed. So we are hosting 3 other teams this weekend for regionals, and we match up with the Clemson regional. So if all goes as planned, we'll host supers as well since we're a top 8 team. So yeah, our road to a championship never leaves state lines or doesn't cross state lines. So it's pretty
Wow.
cool.
So you'll be the home field advantage the whole time, huh?
Yeah, just like we like it. So it's a big deal to earn one of those top 8 seeds. Hosting is incredible, and when you have fans like us, you want that home field advantage because our fans, our crowds make all the difference in the way we play. So it's exciting. We're really looking forward to hosting. So
Wow, that's amazing. That's super exciting. So we're going to be cheering for you. Chelsea is number 55, and so let's go fives, right?
Yep.
So now it's really interesting. They came down to Waco, and their whole family did, and so I got to meet Chelsea and her husband and her son, and I'm sorry, Joey and her husband and her son, and then go to the game and watch Chelsea play, and then meet Chelsea afterwards. And I was really kind of taken by how it seemed like when everybody was getting ready, you kind of like had your own routine. Like, tell me about that.
yeah, I don't know. I just get in a different mindset. I kind of stay focused, and I don't really like seem to get off track. I don't mess around. It's funny, everybody thinks I'm like really energetic and like crazy because they watch me play, and that's how I play. But I'm kind of reserved more than people would think. So I kind of have my routine. I like to do my own thing, kind of stay focused. So basically, I just, obviously I do the team things. We hit, we play catch, we stretch together. From there, I kind of set my bag off so I have a corner to myself. I Once we get our cleats on, do our lines, take our pregame defense, I get stretched, get my game attire on, my sign cards, stuff like that. And then I take a little jog down to the foul pole line, say a prayer, and just kind of spend some time with God and make sure that I'm staying focused on the bigger picture, reminding myself that I'm playing just a game and to just use my platform to glorify Him in the way I play. And that's usually what my kind of thought process is every time I go to pray before a game, just making sure that I'm keeping my mind focused on the right things. So, and then from there, I don't know, I just kind of stick to myself and try and help the team the best I can. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have it like set, like I have to do this before this and this. There's just some check boxes or boxes that I like to check off before a game starts. So,
Yeah, well, you walked up to basically the fence, the wall, and you put your hand on the wall, and you just take a moment. But it wasn't just like a 10-second prayer. Like you were there for like a couple of minutes. And I was just, some people are just like, you look at, I come from a little bit from the world of boxing. And so, boxers, they just kind of kneel down in their corner and they do the quick thing and then they're done. But that wasn't your kind of custom. You kind of went out there and spent some alone time, like a good 3-4 minutes, with your hand just up on the wall and your head bowed and just like completely unashamed. But everybody could tell, that you were very likely praying, but definitely in a moment of solitude and silence. And it was interesting to me because it kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Tim Tebow take a knee thing, but it was longer than that. It was definitely a display of faith, but it was clear that it wasn't meant to be showy at all. It was just kind of like, how do I get away from it, for just a few minutes to spend some time before I go out and give my best on the field. And I just thought it was really awesome to see that.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of forget that other people see it, honestly. So like Mom's taken some pictures and posted them, which I don't mind at all, but I forget that there's a second angle to it. And I never think about like what other people are seeing when they see that. And so if my actions are presenting myself in a way that as a child of God, and I've never been like a super vocal, outspoken kind of leader in any sort. I like to talk and kind of encourage my team, but that's about as loud as I get. And so I'm more of like a lead by action. And I just pray that my actions are making God happy. And so it's awesome to be reminded that other people see that and the way that their perspective on it, because when I walk up to that fence, I try and like, it just feels like really, I don't want to say alone because I feel like I'm with God, but I kind of forget that other people are there. And so I'm really just trying to focus my brain. Sometimes it takes me 3 or 4 minutes to get my head to stop like going so crazy. And then sometimes like the noises, like when we're in Oklahoma City, I was going to say the tournament, but in Oklahoma City, like the speakers, the fans, like everything's really loud. So sometimes it just takes me that time to connect with God. And I just really try and like get my brain to hone in and really kind of clear everything else out and focus myself in my mind on, what's ahead of me and how I can stay centered in God and my faith throughout the game.
Wow. Have you ever had a dream about a game?
I'm trying to think. I'm sure at some point I have, but I really lately, I can't recall one. I've been remembering my dreams here for the last couple of weeks, but I'm trying to think. Most of my dreams, like that I tell Mom, I feel like I'm normally like back home in Dibble or something like that. I feel like a lot of my dreams come from like my childhood town. Mom honestly probably remembers my dreams better than I do, so she might have a better answer than I can't recall like thinking now. Well, I guess I had that one the other day that it was like a rain delayed game, kind of similar to our Texas series. We were in a tornado watch and our game got canceled, but we were like in uniform. And I kind of had a dream about that a few days after that, I think. So I guess I was technically out of game, but I don't normally play softball in my games.
Wow. That's really interesting. It's interesting that
I have dreams about softball all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's one of the things that really caught my attention too is, Joey, you were telling me about a situation where Chelsea had a dream. She came to you and talked to you about it. And then there was something that happened after the dream that kind of manifested that was pretty significant. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us that story?
You want to tell the dream, Chelsea, or?
Yeah, I can. Like I said, you probably remember it better than I do, but I got some notes glad I wrote it down. So I'd had this dream and I woke up the next morning, actually remembered a lot of it. I felt like I remembered a lot of the details, and I knew Mom had been kind of working on dream interpreting and stuff like that. So I was like, well, let's try her out and see what she has to say. So basically my dream was, it seemed like the whole state of Oklahoma, or like a lot of people in my area, wherever I was, I was actually back at like my childhood home in Dibble, Oklahoma. So I said the whole state, but I don't know if it was just a lot of people and around me, like tons. I don't know if it was a town or what, but it seemed like they were on a manhunt. They were looking for somebody, and I don't remember who it was or why like he was being hunted or being searched for. But like I said, I was back at my childhood home in Dibble, and it was like everybody got word that this guy was close to our house. So they were coming onto our property. We had like 40 acres growing up. And they were like pitching tents, parking trucks, like bar a barn. Is like everybody was at our property. And so our house there, I remember our house didn't have a lot of stuff in it, like we lived there, but it was our home. It's just the same as I remember it, just empty. There was just like random things in there. So I remember like searching through the house looking for something. I'm trying to think. The pasture didn't have like our fence lines like it did when we were growing up. It was just kind of like open land. And so I remember like I went through, I was like riding. I don't remember if I was riding a horse at first or not, but I was like running through looking for this person too. And I couldn't find him. And so I came back to the house, and I remember like asking people like, hey, can I go with you to search? Like I can't find him on my own. Like, can I go with you? They're like, oh, well, you need this. So I'd go look for this, and I would go ask somebody else like, okay, I have this. Can I come with you? And it was like every time they just kind of kept like, oh, you don't have this, or you need to be this, or no, or whatever. And so I remember going through the house, and something I was looking for, I was looking for something that I could throw like to the guy. That's what I don't remember if it was a bad thing for this guy. Like if he was running, I was trying to like help him and like find him. And I was looking for something that I could throw to him and hold on to at the same time and kind of pull him to me. And so like I said, there was random things in the house. I remember opening a closet, and there was like an orange fishing pole. And so I grabbed that. That was like the only thing I could find that would make sense. And I just went out and I hopped on a horse, and I remember like galloping through the pasture. And so then I trying to think, go through my notes, make sure I'm staying on track. Yeah, like everybody was kind of turning me down. So I just decided to go on my own. And before I left, Dad had told me I needed my gun for some reason. I don't remember using it. I don't remember finding the guy either. I just went out, and I remember like going like through the pasture loping on this horse. And that's pretty much, I kind of like ran into some old friends at some point, and they kind of were like, oh, you think you're really cool, huh? And I just kind of like laughed it off as a joke. I felt like they were kidding, and just kind of kept going. And then I woke up. So kind of all over the place, but that's kind of what it was.
Wow. That's a pretty intense dream.
I remember feeling like very, I don't know the right word, like kind of hopeful, but like kind of exhausted at the same time when I woke up. Like I remember feeling like feelings after I had woken up. The next morning, it wasn't like I just woke up and was like, oh, that was a weird dream. And I remember like feeling things when I woke up. So I was like, well, if I remember that much of it and it kind of hit me hard enough, I was like, let's see what Mom has to say about it.
Wow. All right. So you called Mom.
Yeah. So I called her, and she was like, write it down. So I kind of wrote what I just told you, wrote that all down, sent it to her in a text. And I don't know, did it take you like a day? Or I don't remember how long it took you. It didn't take super long.
No, I read it and I was like, wow, there's a lot there. It's going to take me a while. She's like, I bet you tell all the people that. So I remember I was cleaning the house and just thinking about all of it and asking God to show me what it meant. And I want to say it was only like an hour later. The first thing I heard was she would be a fishers of men. She was using a fishing pole to literally throw to a man, and it was orange. So being back at our house in Dibble, I told her I felt like it was a ministry of some sort that she had wanted to do for a very long time since she was a little kid, something that has affected her for a very long time, which Special Olympics is something that has been near and dear to our whole family's heart for the last 13 years now, for sure. But even before that, really. So that was the biggest takeaway, is that I felt that there was some ministry that she needed to pursue again, and that she was not to wait for trying to find somebody to help her do it, that she just needed to go out on her own and get it done. That was the main thing that I heard. So
Interesting. So what happened after that? When she told you that, what kind of stirred in your heart, Chelsea?
Yeah, so she told me this, and I knew it didn't take like near as long as you thought it was going to, because I remember like it's like I had the dream, I told her about it, and it wasn't very long after, like she said, maybe an hour later, she tells me kind of what she was like, well, maybe Special Olympics, which the fundraiser you've wanted to do, like stop waiting for people to help. And I think I was kind of using that as an excuse to not do it. And so, like I said, I'm in my final year as a student athlete at OSU. So I'll graduate in December, but my time here is dwindling. And we ended up calling it the Chili Cowboy. But this idea of a fundraiser for Special Olympics is something that I've wanted to do since I was a freshman. So in 2017. And I went to like our community, it's called SAC. It's like a student council in college for student athletes. It's kind of like the organization and what it is. And so I went to them freshman year and I was like, hey, I have this idea. And they were like, that's going to be a really big deal, like a really big task to achieve. And we just didn't have the resources, and no fault on their end. It was pre-COVID. We had a lot of activities on our plate. And they were like, I just don't think we have the time right now to do this. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of just let that be the answer to that for quite a while, for like 4 years. And so I just kind of let that, use that as an excuse, like, oh, that's going to be hard to do. I don't have the right people. I don't know enough people. I don't know what it was. I just didn't get it done and didn't have that push that I needed to. And so I think it was November last year. So kind of towards the end of the semester, I was like, man, like I'm running out of time to do this if it's something that I really wanted to do. And so when Mom told me that, I was like, you're right. I've been thinking about Special Olympics a lot lately, and the fact that I never got that done. And it just, as soon as she told me, she's like, it sounds like you wanted to do something for a long time and you need to stop waiting for people to help you. And as soon as she told me that, I was like, Special Olympics. You didn't mention Special Olympics to me, because I remember I was like, I've been thinking about this like a lot in the last week leading up to that dream. It was on my mind, like really heavy. And so I started going to a Bible study last semester at the Shrums, which is Oklahoma State's president, Casey Shrum, Dr. Casey Shrum, and her husband, Darren, the first cowboy. So I'd been going to a Bible study at their house and kind of getting to know them, and just in a really good group of girls. It was like a women's Bible study. And so I think that that's kind of what it started like weighing heavy on my heart, was just getting back in that routine of being with people, just that have kindness in their heart and want to do good and want to help people in whatever sort of way that is. And so I was talking to Darren one night, and he had mentioned that he got his degree in special education and just never really had done anything with it. I think he went into sales after college, and just the way that life took him, he didn't really use it, but he interacted with people with disabilities throughout his life and kind of shared that passion with me. And so when I learned that, I was like, that's like, why don't I talk to Darren about this? If it's going to be that big of a deal, we have the same intentions. We want to do good. We want to help people. And we kind of share this passion to help people with disabilities, especially. And so I just went to him and he was like, I talked to my secretary 2 days ago about something similar to this.
Wow.
And I was like, he's like, so let's talk to her. And then so his secretary and I, we just kind of took it and ran and kind of took both of our ideas and it turned into what it was. And we ended up raising like $33,000 when we had a goal of $10,000. And so basically what we did was to incentivize people to donate. We used the athletics family, our staff, our coaches here, our athletes. And we basically just put incentive levels like once you raise this much money, the student athletes on the softball team will jump. Once we raise this much money, and we did it like team by team, we paired teams together. And so basically it was like us and the equestrian team. And once we hit $500, the athletes would jump. Once we hit 1,000, our coaches would jump with us. And then we had goals for overall, like the big pot. Once we hit $5,000, Dr. Schrum and Chad would jump. Chad's our athletic director. And it was like Gundy and Boynton and Dr. Schrum at 10,000. And we just kind of like put these big names in a place where people know those names and they want to help our community at OSU, the alumni, the people in Stillwater. They're incredible and they want to give back in any way they can. So I knew that $10,000 was an easy goal for us for the first year. I knew they'd back us in what we were doing, but to see it exceed expectations like it did. And we kept all of those donations for local Stillwater athletes. So we went through Special Olympics and I kind of talked to them and partnering with them. I was like, I want to keep it local. And so they were like, well, when you set up a polar plunge, normally 50% goes to your local area and 50% goes to the state area. Well, state Special Olympics, like it just happened, is held in Stillwater on campus and at the Stillwater High School, all in Stillwater. It's awesome, awesome event. And so he's like, to loophole basically that state level, we'll keep it for the state games. And so everything that we raised directly helped athletes here in Stillwater. And so that was kind of our goal. And it was really cool. I'm kind of rambling. I love talking about it. It was just neat to see what we could pull off in such a short time. And God kind of gave me that push to get it done and had placed the right people. The Shrums, I couldn't have done it without them. There's a lot of people that helped me accomplish this. It definitely was not just me, but the Shrums, Darren, especially, like it was just a really cool deal to have them support me in this and see what we could accomplish together and how much good we could do. So it's really exciting to see.
So tell me what this picture is here.
So we raised, like I said, around 33, I think, what is it? 33,454 was the final total of what we raised this year in the inaugural year of the fundraiser. And so at the opening ceremonies for State Special Olympics, like I said, it's hosted in Stillwater. So that picture is in Gallagher-Iba Arena on OSU's campus. And we were able to give a check presentation to Special Olympics. So they got us a big check, which is my first time presenting a big check. And the Shrums and I presented that to Special Olympics, some of their board members at opening ceremonies, I think last week. So that was really exciting. I honestly was a little, afterwards, I was like, man, was that the right thing to do? Because I never do anything with intention of wanting to show off and be flashy and present big checks. But I think for the people to see where their money was going and what it was doing and to continue to promote this event and help it grow in the coming years, it was the right thing to do, just to show people what we were doing. So I felt a little bit awkward about it just because I don't really like being in the spotlight, but it was still a really cool, it was a cool night to be a part of. So it was awesome.
It made the newspaper too, didn't it?
I honestly don't know. Mom might know the answer to that. I try not to keep up with all that stuff, especially like with that and softball. Like half the time I can't keep up with everything that's going out. So I just kind of, when people tell me, they tell me, and like, oh, that's cool.
So you followed your dream and you went from baller to big check writer, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our athletic director, Chad, was up there on the stage with us too. I was like, man, I just presented my first big check. And he was like, first of many, I'm sure. So
First of many.
yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Now, I know a little bit more about your family than most people do. And both of you have mentioned that for 13 years, Special Olympics has been on your heart. But why don't you tell us why?
Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
My youngest son has Down syndrome, Caden, and he was born 13 years ago. He was our never say never baby. Sometimes you think you're done and God says, no, I'm going to send an angel to come live with you. So it'll be 13 years ago next week, Wednesday. Next Wednesday is his birthday. It's 13th birthday. Yep.
Entering the teenager years.
Yes, he is.
Going on strong.
He's amazing. I love just spending time with him. You know, we had lunch, brunch, whatever it was, and of course hung out at the game and stuff. And you know, what was really kind of a highlight moment for me, which was early on in getting to know you, Joey, was a dream that I interpreted. I think it was on live dreams.
Yes.
And it was about him.
Yes.
Do you remember that dream?
Yes. That's a dream that's etched in my mind. I can get rid of that if I wanted to. So Caden and my mom and I were in this place. And I was really excited because Caden had gotten to meet some prominent political figure earlier in the day. I don't know that I ever knew who it was, but we were really excited about it. And President Trump was coming to the convention center, wherever it was that we were, to give a speech. So we were looking at we weren't going to be able to go because we didn't have tickets, but we were looking at a map on the wall and realized that we were already past security. So we could basically just go in to sit down and watch. So we did. So we sit down to watch, and we're sitting on the stairs because we don't have tickets. And some person starts to pass out eggs, and there's a small delay before President Trump comes out. Well, he finally gets there, and people start throwing eggs at him. And I was like, that's not right, people. And then they start playing the national anthem, and I stand up and sing, and nobody's singing with me. I sing the whole thing in the dream. It's crazy. But nobody's singing with me. There's a few people that clap, but it gets real quiet and everybody stops throwing the eggs. So there was at least that was good. And then President Trump was going to pick one person in the audience to get to meet him. And he comes up to our level and he picks Caden. So Caden goes to stand by him. And Caden has this thing where he takes his hand and he runs it down the side of your cheek, and he puts his hand underneath your chin, and he says, the heart. And so he did that to President Trump, and he kissed him on the cheek, and Trump just loses it. And he just breaks down crying. And every time Caden kisses him, President Trump says, this is the one, this is the one, this is the one. He does it 3 times. And then I wake up. It's an incredible dream.
Yeah. Wow. It brings me to tears just to hear it again. The thing that I was so taken by, and I love how this whole story kind of blends together, because it starts with the mom who just really wants to press into God and learn more about dream interpretation, and ends up part of, the mentorship program. And then, Chelsea with her dream, and, a long awaited dream, even as a freshman, to do a fundraiser for the Special Olympics. And then because of a dream, is kind of given the kick, the push out of the nest kind of thing, like, hey, go do it. And so she just takes it on and does it. But it wraps around back to Keaton. And I think it was one of the very first times I had ever met you. Because I remember the first time, was that the first dream I interpreted for you?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was just it surprised me. Sometimes when you're interpreting a dream, God will give you something that you're just like, wow, man, that didn't come from me. And I remember that really the crux of that interpretation was, and I said, I can't even imagine what it's like to have a special needs son or daughter, because, I have kids, but I don't have a special needs kid. And so just, I said, but by friends and people that I know, a lot of times it probably feels like it's just, let's just get through the day. Like it's just survival. It's just, let's get them fed and changed and, put to bed and, bath time and all of that. And without any major big blow ups or any big emotional outbursts, or, let's go out to dinner and make it through the restaurant without causing a scene or whatever, depending on, what the condition of the child. But I was taken aback by this dream, and I really felt that, do we have the faith to believe that our child could have a destiny on the national stage? Like he could literally shift an audience, and not just the audience in the room, but every, Trump event is obviously, it's all over the media, it's live streamed. And so to have an event that's so explosive where people are literally throwing eggs at this guy, he's definitely been a polarizing figure in politics. Some people absolutely love him. Some people absolutely hate him. But to have just this pure-hearted, tender, son that would just reach up and just see him for who he is, and just, man, I just like the guy. In fact, I don't like the guy. I love him as a human being, and to stroke the side of his face and to give him a kiss on the cheek, and like just the restoration of humanity in the midst of a divisive and polarized culture that we live in this country. And I was just, and one part of the interpretation was that there is a literal component to this, that there's going to be a moment that he's going to have. And it may be with Trump, and it may be, but, with a political leader, it could be the president of the United States, where because of the actions that he takes, and it's not a profound speech, and it's not a big grandiose gesture like some people would do, it's just simply the act of love expressed, that it would wreck people. Like it's almost like that moment where Jesus says, he was without sin, throw the first stone. Like everybody drops their eggs. Everybody is just, taken aback by the treatment of your son to, the figure of President Trump in this dream. And I think I challenged you to begin to believe for a national level, even political destiny on the life of Caden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I just love how your family has such a heart for him. And I love what you did, Chelsea. Does Caden play in the Special Olympics, or?
No.
Funny enough, he doesn't.
Everybody asks me, I'm like, and they're like, does your brother compete? I'm like, actually, no. But he shows many Herefords, and he has his own things that he likes to do. So he initiated that that support for Special Olympics. Like, I think he was my motivation to be involved, volunteer with my dad. We've done polar plunges, super plunges, and everything before. I did a fundraiser in high school that's kind of like the same deal for our high school's Special Olympics group. And like Caden's the reason I do all of that. But he's motivated me to provide opportunities and help other kids find their passions and grow in other ways and that they enjoy. So it's because of him, but it's not necessarily for him because he doesn't compete in Special Olympics. So,
yeah.
Wow. In my mind, that just makes it all the more special and selfless. Like, I mean, obviously if your son or your brother is, an athlete, then yeah, let's do the fundraiser and let's, do this and that. But it's so cool that what you're really doing is you're championing other families in a similar situation, but not your own, because Caden's into other things and these other interests. And so he's doing his thing. But your expression as, man, I'm such an athlete. I love athletics and I understand, being part of a special needs family. And I just really want to champion people. That's kind of like your expression, but with a special needs bend to it. And so I just think that is really cool. That's amazing, Chelsea. I love what you did. I love that you took the risk that you did it, especially, not that it's ever too late, but like you said, you're at the very end of your collegiate career. Like you had a dream of doing this. You started to do this when you were a freshman and it just wasn't the right time and all that. And then this dream just kind of brought it back to the forefront. And then not only the dream, but the divine appointment with being at the Bible study and talking to, what did you call him? The first cowboy. Yeah. And sharing your hearts together and what favor you had, with the president of the university and her husband, and to be able to put that on together and far exceed expectations of what you even thought you could do in your first year. I think that's just what an amazing story.
Thank you. Yeah, it was incredible to be a part of. So the timing was God's timing, and his timing's perfect. So,
yep, absolutely.
You never know when you lay your head on a pillow at night where it's going to take you and what you're going to end up doing. And,
places you'll go.
Oh yeah, the places you'll go. I love this. So now who's in this picture?
So that's Caden, me, and Darren Shrum, and then some of the participants and media members in the background. That's the day of the event. So the fundraiser was like people pay money or donate money to see some of the names I mentioned: Coach Boynton, Coach Gundy, Casey Shrum, Darren, different various coaches, various athletes at Oklahoma State jump in freezing cold water. So it's kind of like a play on Special Olympics polar plunge. It's not a new idea. It's a fundraiser that they do across the states. I'm pretty sure other places do it. I know we have several different polar plunges throughout the state of Oklahoma. So basically it's a polar plunge for Oklahoma State athletics members. So it's kind of our personal one. And I knew with the people and the support that OSU Athletics has, that it was a good platform that we could connect with OSU fans and alumni and community members in a way that even if they didn't have a relationship with Special Olympics or people with disabilities, that I like OSU. I know Coach Gundy, and I'd love to see him jump in cold water. And so it's kind of taking those two and combining the love for sports and OSU athletics with the love for Special Olympics. And I kind of took it as like athletes giving back to athletes. Like you said, like I'm an athlete. I love competing. I love seeing the opportunities that Special Olympics provides and seeing those other kids compete, or it's not just kids, those other athletes compete in what they do and the look on their face when they win and get medals and ribbons and just have a blast. And so it was just really cool to be able to take two of the things that I love and put them together. So, and the weather was actually really cold that day. It ended up being not.
Made it all the more legit, didn't it?
Yeah, we did not get let off the hook. It was definitely freezing. So we just took a jump in, or we actually sat in a dunk tank, and Caden and some of the other, we have a football coach that has a kid with Down syndrome. My old academic advisor has a boy with Down syndrome. I think the Fitches, he has autism. So a few different, kids around or athletes in the community, they were able to hit the dunk tank, hit the button, and send us in. So like I sat up there and Caden hit it, and I fell in the water. So it was really cool to involve them in the actual event as well.
Wow, that's amazing! What a special time for your family and for the university, and I just love that they did that. that they surrounded you and you guys did that together. That's a really, really cool story. So I don't know that we'll know the impact that following this one simple dream had. You know, the dollars go to supporting families and athletes that can go compete. What is that? Does that pay for like registration, or does it help them in their training, or what?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how Special Olympics uses the money. I know that they buy equipment, different things that they need. I think they would help with registrations. I need to get a better grasp on how that money directly impacts athletes. But I know that it goes back to the Special Olympics Oklahoma organization, and they disperse it in areas that they see needed. So for state Special Olympics, like that 50% that goes to the state level, it comes back to Stillwater. Just I'm sure like all of the stuff they put on at opening ceremonies and stuff like that. So it directly impacts athletes, but I do need to get a better grasp on in what ways exactly that happens.
Well, that's really cool. I just love that. I'm sure that there are some special needs kids out there who've had a dream to want to compete in athletics, that because of the efforts of you and your university are going to have the opportunity to do it, and right there on your home turf locally. So I think that's just amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow. So what's next for you?
Practice is at 1:30.
Immediately next.
Yeah.
Day by day.
So after you win the World Series, then what happens?
Yeah, so all like I said, 3 weeks. Hopefully, we're walking away with a national championship. That's kind of where my focus is set right now, is just finishing out this last little bit of my softball career, enjoying the moments that I'm in. And then I finish up school. I'm getting my master's in business administration right now with a concentration in entrepreneurship. I'll graduate in December this year. I'll get married hopefully this time next year. And between all that, I have no idea where my life is heading. I have no plans on a job. Mom wants me to take that dream class, so might do that this summer.
That would be a pleasure to have you as part of the Spiritual Intelligence Mentorship. I would love that.
Well, thank you. Mom said she got me registered, so
You're in.
Yeah, so I guess I'm in, and we'll see how that goes. See where it takes me.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. So you're engaged?
I am engaged. I got engaged in December last year, so right around.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah.
So you're about a year out, you think, from the wedding, and by then school and all of that stuff will be behind you. And
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Whole new season of life, huh?
Yeah, starting the next chapter out with a bang.
Wow.
So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, he keeps telling me I need to like find an internship or something, and like when I find it, it will come to me. I'm just letting life come to me, letting God take me where He needs me to go. So we'll see where that is.
Well, if you like the spiritual intelligence sector, we have an internship after SIM. So,
all right.
We love that, and I love how professional you are and well-spoken you are, and I could see you doing, executive level briefings for top leaders in a nation easily. So that would be it'd be interesting to see how you fit into all that.
Thank you. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah. So have either of you had any more dreams lately? Any significant dreams? Anything that you want to share that we can talk about or we can unpack here in the last 7 or 8 minutes?
Mom, have you had any? I know I told you about that one the other day, but you might have some more interesting ones.
Not recently. I had a dream. Actually, I had 2 dreams, which were kind of interesting. It's probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I had a dream that I don't remember much about, other than it was about Morgan Day, which is one of the pitchers on the softball team. And then 2 days later, I had another dream that our pitcher, we went to a softball game and the pitcher got hurt, which Miranda Ellis, our other pitcher, got hurt in the Texas series. And Morgan Day has really stepped up and taken her spot in the lineup. So not the lineup, but in the pitching rotation. So that was kind of interesting. But Chelsea, tell me about the dream you had the other day, because I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Okay, so I was back in Dibble. Like I said, a lot of my dreams, I feel like a lot of the ones I remember, I'm back in my childhood town. So it's kind of all over the place. We were in Dibble, and I was moving into a house that, if you think of a square house with the center cut out, like the center is outside, so it's kind of like a house of hallways or a house of rooms, and just like a full square. I don't know why I remember that, but that is the house was just kind of like cut out. It's kind of strange. I don't know what the house was. It reminded me of my old friends. One of my best friends growing up, her church was kind of like that, and it kind of made me reminded me of that. But so a girlfriend and I were moving in together. I don't remember who she was. I don't really remember a face, but the house was white. It was older, and we were moving in. I don't know why I was moving back to Dibble, but we were kind of moving in, getting unpacked, organizing stuff. It was raining, and because of the rain, we noticed like a leak by one of the doors, and so we were like scrambling to get that taken care of. And it was just kind of really funny, and we're just laughing and kind of enjoying ourselves, even though this leak, the water was like rushing into our house. So I don't know how, and must have been like torrential downpour. But I remember we weren't like stressed about it. We were kind of laughing it off and figuring stuff out. And I think that was kind of through the night that we were working on that. And we woke up like the next morning. I think there's kind of something else that happened, but I can't really remember. Going off my notes, I made hopefully good notes on my dream when I woke up. But I remember something happened throughout that night before the next morning. And when I was thinking about that, like when I woke up and the next day, I don't remember what happened, but when I would think of it, it would make my heart beat faster. Like I woke up the next morning and I'm thinking of my dream. And as I was like writing it out, like my heart would kind of race at that time. But I really don't remember anything that happened from us fixing the leak. Something kind of happened that night. I have no idea what. And then it was the next morning in my dream that I started remembering stuff. So I went to meet mom and dad at their house, and their house was located, I was in like a small town, like our small town had like the gas station and the post office, and it was like right across the street from the post office. And it kind of had the same vibe as the post office, but I don't really remember what the house looked like, but I remember that what area we were in. So something kind of happened at the house. I can't remember what. And then we went to leave. I was with mom and dad, and I guess we're meeting my older brother, Chance, at like a dealership. And there's not a dealership in Dibble, so I don't know where we went exactly, but we weren't too far. We're going to get him a new car. It was still raining that morning, and we drove to the dealership, but I don't remember seeing a lot of cars or anything. But when we got out, mom remembered that she left something that we needed at the house, like a piece of paper. And I don't remember like what it was exactly, but she was just like distraught, like, I'm sorry, like I know I'm a screw up, like I messed up. And dad was kind of mad. Dad was mad at her, and she's like, I don't need to hear it, like I already know, and just was like really hard on herself, just beating herself up. And so they were kind of getting into like a dispute, an argument, and mom was just kind of crying and stressed out and stuff. And so I just took off back to the house, and I was go to take off because it was raining. I drive back to the house, and I go to run into the inside of the house, and I like run into two people, and I have no idea who they were. I don't remember their face or anything. But I went to go past them, and they just like handed me an envelope. And I don't remember like anything, but the envelope was like really well sealed. Like it wasn't just a piece of paper. It was like sealed well. And they just handed it to me, and I kind of looked at them and grabbed it and took off back to the dealership. And I went to go give to mom. And they were still kind of mad. Mom was still beating herself up. And then I like went to like talk to her, and she's like, no, I know, and just wasn't wanting to hear me. And I was like, no, like here. And she like just broke down and cried. Like I had her shoulders. I don't know if you can see me. I had her shoulders, and I was like, no, like I got you. And I handed it, like had her by the shoulders, and I like handed her the paper. I was like, I got you. Like, I got you. And she just like broke down like in relief and was like crying. And I was like really firm with her, but I was like, I got you, and trying to like get her to relax. And she just, I hugged her, and we were like in the rain, and yeah, I woke up. So that was the last dream that I remember and that I told Mom about. She hasn't gotten back to me with that one, so I guess there was more to it.
Well, well, first I'll start with you, Chelsea. Do you have any thoughts on what you feel the dream means?
Yeah, she asked me the same thing. I don't know. That one didn't hit me. I woke up and I was like I feel strong emotions. I don't know what emotion about it. Like I feel like there was a lot of emotions there, but I don't know how to translate it.
All right. What about you, Joey? What are your impressions?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it really close yet, other than I know that she's got my back.
Well, there's a whole lot there. There's a lot there for your family that I think is really interesting. It's in your family home. It's like the home that you grew up in, right?
No, it was in my town, my hometown, but the actual house I grew up in, like the last dream that we talked about, was my actual childhood home, and this one wasn't. But it was familiar enough that I knew it was my childhood town.
Okay.
So a little.
So it wasn't the next home that you ever lived in?
Say that again.
It wasn't a home that you've ever lived in?
No. I don't remember either of the houses. No.
And you said that it was like a house of passageways, right?
Yeah, the first house that I was moving into was just like a square. It was like in the middle there was like glass walls, so you could see like across, and the outside was like the inside of the house was outside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of courtyard in the middle of it.
Yeah, like a courtyard kind of thing. But I mean, it
might
wasn't
be like a Pentagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a ring with a courtyard in the middle and
Yeah.
a lot of glass. And yeah, that's really interesting. So a lot of passageways means just like a lot of transition. It's literally a place of transition, a place of opportunity. Typically passageways have a lot of doors too. So rooms that you could go in, you can choose your path, which way do you want to go down. And the courtyard is the idea of community, just being in that place. And I know you probably, when you think of Dibble, you probably think of community and family, and, you know, just because your memory's there and your family that's there and growing up and all that. So was it in that house that the floods came in, or was that the next one?
Yeah, no, that was that house that we were like trying to work on a leak, and there was like a lot of water rushing in.
Yeah.
It was funny for some reason.
Yeah, I just went through that. Yeah, the idea of flooding in a house can be very stressful, but it also can mean that it's time to move. It's interesting how water, biblically, like when the brook of Japheth dried up for the prophet, I think it was Elijah, right? He had to move, but also obviously Noah had to move when the floods came. You know, so the idea of an abundance of water, a lack of water, definitely can mean it's time to transition to a different location. You know, and so from a place of transition to another place, what happened after the floods came?
That's the part that I don't quite remember. I remember we were like trying to like put towels and stop the leak, and that's when we were like laughing and kind of joking.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that like something happened, but I don't remember anything from that. The next part of my dream that I do remember is the next morning, and going to meet my parents at their house that they were in. But between there, when I would think of that time, like as I'm recalling my dream the next morning and talking to Mom about it, my heart would start to beat like physically, like when I'm awake, like my heart would start to beat kind of faster. I think I woke up and typed this dream in my notes in the middle of the night. And I remember, like, I don't remember what happened, but I remember, like, I put in parentheses, something happened here. I don't remember what, but my heartbeat, as I would think about it, my heartbeat would race. But I don't remember any part of that. I just know that, like, I would get kind of anxious when I thought about it.
That's interesting. Well, and then the next thing, you're traveling. So you're moving and you're going to meet your mom and dad, and you're going to go to the dealership to buy your older brother a car, but there's not really a dealership in that town. So we know that that's figurative. Obviously, the idea of a new car represents the idea of a vehicle to destiny, or could be a career, could be a ministry. It's something that's literally going to move your brother forward, something that he's going to use as a vehicle to get him where he's going in life. And so the idea that he's going to buy a new one usually means that you're going to trade up. Could be a promotion at work, could be a whole new career path, potentially. But now your mom forgot this piece of paper. Was it a piece of paper that you guys needed to buy the car?
I guess so. We never went into the actual dealership and talked to anybody, but in the sense, like, of, she got so upset that she didn't have it, and we never, like, we kind of stayed around the car. I think we got out of the car and they were kind of arguing. But I remember, like, mom's feelings of, like, I know I messed up. I don't have it. We needed it. Kind of, I don't know what we needed it for exactly, but we should have had it and we didn't, kind of thing.
It was a critical piece of information, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so you end up back at the house, and you go into the house and you find this envelope, and you feel that the envelope was what your mom was looking for.
Right. But the envelope was what my mom was looking for, like what she forgot, but I didn't go into the house. When I went back to the house, there was, like, I want to say 2 people, for sure, a man.
Oh yeah, somebody handed it to you.
And he just stopped. I was like running from the car to the house, and he stopped me from running inside and just, like, handed it to me. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of looked at him and took it and ran back. And I kind of remember feeling like, okay. And I just, like, took it and ran back. Like, I instantly knew that's what she needed, but I thought it was weird that, like, because I was kind of remember, like, thinking, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it is. I don't know how I'm going to find it, but I needed to find it for mom. Mm-hmm. And there was somebody there handing it to me.
Wow, this is a really cool dream. You know what? I feel like this dream is announcing or trumpeting in your life is a massive ability to create wealth.
Say that again.
I feel like this dream is talking to you about an ability that you have to create wealth. If somebody has a need, but you don't know what it is, how can you help? Well, typically money is like a great equalizer. And again, I think about you writing big checks. Even that part of your journey that we just talked about was like prophetic into where you're going. Like, you were literally presenting families with what they needed. And it's funny because when I said, well, how does that work? Do they sponsor the athletes, or do they buy equipment, you really didn't know. You just knew there was a need. And so you were the person to come in and to provide the check. But it's interesting that the money wasn't yours, but you facilitated, or you set up almost like the brokerage, almost like a fund, like a hedge fund or something like that. You set up a fundraiser, literally, to be able to provide the resources. So other people handed you what you could then give to somebody else that had need to buy or purchase a vehicle of destiny to move them and their families forward. And so this is literally like a continuation of what actually happened physically in the real world with the other dream that you had, and then how you moved forward with the Special Olympics fundraiser project. And so there's transitions, there's, like you said, and it's kind of like your life in December after you graduate, after softball's over, after college is over. You got a wedding coming up next year, but after that, like, the whole world is your oyster. Like, you could literally go in you can move anywhere, you can do anything. You're going to have a master's, in entrepreneurship and MBA. So literally you could do everything from move to Hollywood to move to Wall Street, or anything in between. And so you'll have these set of skills, and these skills of coordinating and creating opportunities and launching things and everything that goes along with an MBA, but also with a focus on entrepreneurship. I think it's just absolutely fascinating. So when then you have a brother that wants to launch, he needs a new vehicle to destiny, but mom holds a paper. There's a paper in the house somewhere, which means the house can represent the family, like the House of Alexander, right? Could be your whole family line. And so there's something in the house that your brother has need of, that your mom fills the need. Like, I forgot it. I got to go get it. It's my responsibility. And there's this big thing that happens, and you end up running into the house, and somebody walks out and just hands you what you need. But it's not really what you need. It's what your mom needs. But it's not really what your mom needs. It's what your brother needs. So it literally affects the whole family. So what you do is you're just the catalyst that can go out and find what people need. Just like you can say, I got an idea, let's do this fundraiser, have a conversation. Next thing you know, you're handing a $33,000 check to a group of special needs families in order to put on the Special Olympics in your area. And so I feel like God is saying you're going to be in that position a lot. And just like the first cowboy said, first of many, this dream confirms that calling on your life, that you're going to be a person that you could literally go in any direction. You have a bunch of opportunities. When the flood comes in, you're going to want to go be with family. And as you go to be with family and there's a need, you're going to be the one that finds and fills the need. And also, I hear the term love covers, just like you said, I got you, mom, I got your back. I know you felt bad that you didn't have this. And you ran in, you didn't even have to go into the house. You just had to make the approach, and somebody walks out and hands you what you need. Just like when you stepped out for the Special Olympics fundraiser, people started handing money, and it far exceeded your expectations.
Right.
And so then the money that you give blesses that whole family. It meets the needs of the people, just like the needs of your brother is going to be met, but it blesses the whole family, because now mom is, she's fine because we have this paper, we have what we had need of to take care of the son. And, all of these things are, it's the whole idea of family and community. It's the whole idea of building and launching things, bringing resources, bringing paper. Paper can represent titles, deeds, knowledge, IP, all kinds of things paper can represent. And the idea that we need something in order to purchase a vehicle to destiny to move forward. And you think of every startup business, there's a list of things that they have need of in order to do that. This is a fascinating dream. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, you did really good. I mean, everything you said, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. So, I mean, I think that's pretty incredible, and cool to hear that, how God continues to work in all of our lives.
Yeah, I love how this, again, is like a continuation of what's actually already happened. It's not like it's the first time that you've heard this. This is something you've already done because of a dream. You already stepped out, and really the fullness of this dream was manifested in what you've already accomplished. But this is new. This is since then. This is post fundraiser. So God is saying there's much, much more for you in the area. And it was an area that you just did naturally. All you did was just say, hey, here's something I'm passionate about. And the next thing you know, like you said, you're writing big checks.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I put the date. Hang on, let me look at the date. I put the date of that dream, and it was on May 11th. So May 11th would have been a week ago. And that was the night after the ceremony, the check presentation ceremony.
Wow. Right after God was saying,
Hold
time
on.
for something new. May 11th, huh? Wow. That's fascinating.
It's pretty interesting.
So a lot of times when we talk about this in the internship, God does something really cool with dates. He gives what we call an Ottendorf cipher. If you've ever watched National Treasure, turn over the back of the Declaration of Independence, there's a whole series of numbers, and there are 3 number combinations, like 5, 11, 22, And so a lot of times God will use scripture as an Ottendorf cipher, what's called the book cipher. So what you do is, in certain cases, and as soon as you said there's the date, before I knew what the date was, I felt that we were supposed to do this. We would look up the 5th book of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. So Deuteronomy, which would be 5, chapter 11, starting in verse 20 to 22. And here's what it says. It says, write them on the door frames of your houses and on your gates, so that your days and the days of your children may be many in the land the Lord swore to give you and your ancestors, as many as the days that the heavens are above the earth. If you carefully observe all these commands I am giving you to follow of the Lord your God, to walk in obedience to him and to hold fast to him. So it's absolutely fascinating that it's talking about the door frames of houses, which is the dream. You know, it's interesting that your house was a weird house in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a weird structure. It was framed and designed differently. And your gates and the days of your children and your ancestors. I think that's really cool, because there's so much about houses and family that's in that verse. And I would suggest look that up, meditate on it to see what it means to you, but even read your dream, look at that again. But it's absolutely fascinating that, you know, you can't make this stuff up. Like, your dream was about family and houses in particular, you know, and meeting the needs of those people in those situations. And that's what this verse is about. And so I think God is putting an exclamation point on the fact that this dream, you know, decoding this dream, that it has significance, and not only significance, but like it says, or it talks about eternity, you know, it has eternal significance. Like, God gave you a message specifically for you that has to do with the destiny of your family and your ancestors. And he punctuated it with a secret code in there that sends us to a scripture verse that says exactly that.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. That's pretty cool.
Wow, I love that. Wow, this is such a rich time. Thank you guys so much for this interview, and just for spending time with us. Our Dream Life Decoded and our Spiritual Intelligence family, they just love Dream Talks, because we get to learn more about people and learn more about families and hear the stories of how God begins to unpack through the dream language and through spiritual intelligence really cool things in life. And so what a pleasure to have you guys on, and super excited to see you guys go on to win the championship. We're going to be cheering for you in the next 3 weeks, and God be with you and your team, and excited to see what happens for your whole family next.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. It's really cool to share. So I'm excited to see where the future holds.
Yeah, love to have you and Sim too. So
All right. I won't forget that.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Thank you, John.
All right. Bye-bye. So cool. So cool. This is our first ever family edition of Dream Talks. And what we're going to have to do that more often. I just love it when you can see the hand of God, not just on one person or several people, but on an entire family. And so what a wonderful story. What a great opportunity. If you don't talk to your kids about their dreams, you should. I don't care what their ages are. And if you have young ones, begin to talk to them early. Ask them what their dreams are. Begin to unpack their dreams and even your dreams with them, and watch the hand of God move in the life of your family. Thanks again for joining us on Dream Talks, and we'll see you next time.